The further Kabbalists delve into the Zohar, the more cryptic the words become.
It has a very rich symbolic system. This is a deliberated means to keep the Zohar for the elite only. The writers probably thought that only those who are spiritual enough will be able to decipher it.
The major symbolic code found in the Zohar is the 10 aspects of God's personality, the 10 Sephirot. One popular interpretation shows these characteristics as a map of God's body. Kabbalists believe that if they can understand God's anatomy, they can learn how his powers work. These ancient drawings reveal that God's body is similar to humans. The top symbolizes God's head, which is the source of will, wisdom, and understanding. Below that are symmetrically arranged organs and limbs, representing love, power, beauty, eternity, and splendor. The most unusual part of the diagram contains sensual imagery. The ninth part of God, called the foundation, is the phallus, or procreative life force of the universe. But according to the Sephirot, God also has female components. The final element, often called Shekinah, was depicted as the feminine half of God.
The Cabala gives Kabbalists a roadmap called the Tree of Life, which explains how to invoke and communicate with these powerful spirits.
So to unite the male and female halves of God, this becomes the goal of the whole system of the Sephirot.
This complicated system supported the Kabbalist teaching that humans affect God. Students of the Zohar believe that human actions unite these masculine and feminine parts of God. The idea that God is dependent on human beings clashed with traditional beliefs that saw God as an omnipotent ruler.
We, and this is, I think, an extraordinary idea of the Kabbalists, we have the ability, through the performance of sacred deeds, to nurture God, to influence God, to affect God, to be able to affect the divine disposition, which then will affect the flow down of divine grace to our world.
The most famous leader was Rabbi Isaac Luria from Jerusalem. By the time Luria began teaching in Safed in 1570, he was regarded as one of the most important holy men of the century. As a young man, Luria had spent several years in seclusion near Cairo, Egypt. There, Kabbalists say, Luria studied the Zohar and had visions of angels and biblical prophets.
There's some evidence that he used the Zohar as sort of a mantra, that he would take passages of the Zohar and repeat it over and over again until he got deep inside it.
In this trance-like state, Luria acquired extraordinary abilities.
Rabbi Isaac Luria, he could look at a person's forehead and read everything about that person, somewhat like reading the palm. He was a healer. He could tell people's past lives and what has to be fixed.
The jinn can also help fortune tellers with immediate information, like somebody is coming to them and they may get information about that person before the person reaches there. So you may go to see a fortune teller and he will tell you, or she will tell you, what your name is, what the name of your parents are, how old you are, what country you came from, etc., etc. That type of information is quite easy and quite accurate for them to get.
He taught a theory of reincarnation, in which he claimed that every individual is descended from a certain soul root. With Luria's help, many Kabbalists searched for links to their past. These burial sites around Safed took on an important role as Kabbalists tried to find the graves of their previous incarnations.
They would take on the soul of the deceased who was lying there and speak with that person's voice.
To this day, gravesite rituals and pilgrimages continue around Safed.
The belief in reincarnation, of course, is false belief. It's a false belief. It's based on the concept that the human soul is divine, that the human soul is a part of God which has come into this world, which continues to go through different cycles until eventually it rejoins with God. This is false. Human beings are not God in any way, shape, or form.
"20 years after Jerusalem was taken, the Dome of the Rock was seized by a group of warrior monks calling themselves the Knights of the Temple of Solomon, or more simply, the Knights Templars. In Jerusalem, the Templars began to deviate further and further away from the practices of Christianity. They learnt the secret arts of the Cabala, an ancient form of Jewish magic, along with its dark rites and rituals. The Jews had learnt the arts from the pagans of ancient Egypt during the times of enslavement to the Pharaoh, and developed them into Babylon at the time of Nebuchadnezzar. In 1307, King Philippe of France arrested them for charges of denial of Christ, homosexuality, and idol worship, as well as magic.
War, depression, revolutions, religious movements. On the surface, they seem to be random events, independent forces all vying for money and influence. But is there a hidden order beneath it all? Are these events in fact orchestrated by a conspiracy of power brokers, directing the business of the world through elite organizations and secret societies?
When the Bilderberg meets, you know, and they were set up by leading Masons, the Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation. Most of the key people that get invited to them are Masons.
But can any one organization be so powerful, ruthless, and invisible that it charts the course of history and controls the lives of millions?